What's going on? Dr. Coons here, sports physical therapist. It's March 90th, Friday, 2050, I think. No, for real though. Craziness, right? Being stuck at home. At least it's nice out, so hopefully people are still getting outside and moving around. For today's purposes, just so you can hear me okay, I'll be doing just a demonstration right here. As you see, I have like this little office space, and that'll still be enough to kind of show you guys some workouts, show you guys what you guys could do at home, making sure that you find the perfect push-up, the push-up that's actually right for you. So thank you, Hunter. I'll tag you in this. Appreciate the insight, and thanks guys for hopping on. But want to show you what the perfect push-up should look like. It's one of those exercises that I think everyone should be doing correctly. We have to, like, for example, to the extreme. You're a 9-year-old woman, you've got to push that door open. You need to be strong to push. So I think everyone needs to be able to do the perfect push-up. Dr. Mike Smith's in the house, so he's an awesome functional doctor in Matthews. Thanks for hopping on. And his homework right now is to do push-ups. So hopefully this gives him a little motive to, I'm picking on you, to get out there and get working out. So today I'm gonna show you how to kind of warm up. We're gonna just use an elastic band. I do have a heavy duty band. I know a lot of you guys don't have that. And I've got some dumbbells too. So we've got a few different kind of home resources that you guys could use. I'm watching to find out. Perfect. So if you guys are sneaking some time to work out, to do some push-ups, a quick little warm-up could even be something like this. So if you have a band, and I'm on my knees just because the camera is going to show a push-up on the ground, so that's why I'm on my knees. But basically to kind of get warmed up, to making sure that you're prepped to do a good push-up and make sure you're kind of ready to go. Put the band just around both wrists, if you can see there. You're going to bring the hands up towards the shoulders, and you're going to kind of come out like this. And we're going to really focus on working on, nice. Yes, sir, that's right. So we're going to do a lot more external rotation with this. I'm kind of squeezing my shoulder blades in and out. So here I'm actually allowing my shoulder blades to kind of come towards the camera, and then I'm squeezing it. I can give you a better view here from the side. So we're here. So I'm going to do a little bit of a combined motion here. So I'm going to get my chest up tall. And notice how I'm really directly working external rotation here. If you come down here, people have a tendency to want to use their elbows, okay? In other words, they want to use their triceps. So people will turn in, an exercise into something like this. So when I have my elbows flexed as I am, that's going to get it into external rotation, okay? So another little quick warm up that you could do, you can kind of get into a position like this where I'm kind of leaning over. And again, I'm in a full kneeling position just because of the camera, because I want to show you push-ups, but you could absolutely do this standing. So I'm going to hold on to this loop band. We're going to kind of make this work. I'm going to rotate my palm facing the camera with the thumb pointing up. And to work my rotator cuff to kind of get warmed up, I'm going to kind of come up and out to the side. Okay, so actually my right's stabilizing it. Can you see that? And then my thumb's pointing up. It's going to work the shoulder blade muscles, work the rotator cuff, and believe it or not, I feel a little bit of a squeeze and burn already with that, which is awesome. So I'll do the same thing opposite side. Squeezing the shoulder blade. And again, we're just getting the whole upper body kind of warmed up. And then heck, you wouldn't believe how much this silly, stupid little warm-up gets your shoulders going. So what I like to do, I'll get my arms up into a 90-degree position, and then I'm just gonna do big circles. We can do big circles, and I'm trying to get the whole upper quarter and shoulder blade going, but I'm keeping my arms in this kind of field goal post or 90-90 position, and then I'll switch positions. I'll go forwards and backwards basically. And then you can repeat this in kind of a scarecrow position. So I'm just gonna keep my palms down, but I'm letting the shoulder blades warm up, letting the rotator cuff warm up, and then I'll go backwards too. Dude, that is the craziest little warm-up exercise, because I feel a really good burn just from doing those little 3 things, okay? And 2 of those we use just a small elastic loop band. I'm not sure if Amazon's still selling those or not. Hopefully someone can comment if that's still a viable option. All right, so let's say you're doing that. Let's say push-ups are an exercise you want to get into. I'm not gonna really progress this in any type of order. I will start on our knees, all right? But there's a lot of different options we've got here. So I'm gonna start on my knees. And I think the first thing I want you guys to know is the proper positioning. So whether you're here or whether you're here makes a big difference. And you can play with how much load you want to put on your arms, okay? But for what I would suggest for your kneeling push-ups, crawl your legs back so you can see my stripes, how my knees are now below my hips. Lean the hips forward, but watch, don't do this. Okay, you see what I did there? So I'm actually activating my core to keep my low back there. If I don't, that's what happens if I just totally relax, okay? So I have to drive my lower back up towards the ceiling. I'm engaging my core. Now, I'm not sure if you guys can quite tell, so I'm gonna shift. From a hand position perspective, I'm going to rotate my hands. So my hands, instead of being like this, are gonna be kind of rotated out. So I call that external rotation. So I'm gonna kind of rotate out. And also, I know it might be a little shadowy, so I'm gonna show you here. The elbow eye. So when people do a push-up position, their elbow wants to tend to point in. I'm gonna encourage you to kind of rotate that so the elbow is pointing directly above you. So if I were to get into a position like this, get the elbow to point up. That's gonna get the shoulder into more external rotation, which is a better position for the shoulder overall. Don't let the elbow rotate in. So doing it wrongly, I would kind of rotate here, palms in, and I would shrug. To do it the correct way, I would kind of rotate the hands, rotate the elbow, so the elbow's pointing up, if that makes sense, okay? So from there, let's say we got to our good position, just so you can see the spine appreciation with that. So we're not doing this, right? We're keeping a little core tension, and then nice, slow and rhythmic, all the way down, trying to get the chest to touch, and come on back up. Now, the other thing, and hopefully you guys can see from this perspective, my elbow's gonna be about 45 degrees, all right? We're not here, because when we come down and up, we get very shruggy. The shoulders kind of run forwards. It tends to put our upper traps, anterior delts, and our scapula or our shoulder blade in a malposition, or not a very good position. So what I actually encourage you to do is to kind of get the elbows about 45 degrees, make sure you're symmetrical, and then slowly go from there, making sure that you don't rotate up like that, okay? Now, for those of you that are dealing with shoulder pain or achy shoulders, I'm gonna suggest that you use an elastic band, okay? And you might think that this makes it harder, but it's actually gonna be an assisted based exercise. So I'm gonna actually put that band just past the elbow. That's an important preface. So I'm gonna go just past the elbow. And again, this is if you got achy, kind of nasty shoulders. As I do this push-up, it's going to actually assist me up, okay? I wonder if that will help or not. Let's try the lighting a little bit better there, okay? So as I come down, that band's going to actually help me do the full push-up. It looks cool because it looks like it's harder, but it's actually helpful. So that's an assisted based push-up that you could do with just an elastic band. Again, that's got to go just past the elbow, okay? You could do that, of course, on your knees, on your toes, either way. I would suggest if you're doing push-ups on your toes, and let's say you're really working hard. Let's say it's, you know, let's say you're getting 2 or 3 of them. You're probably best, in my opinion, right now, unless you really had a good argument, go onto your knees and just get yourself some really good reps. And at this point, just kind of focus a little more on volume. Shoot from maybe somewhere between the 10 to 12 rep range. You'd have to make a strong argument for me to really only want to have like 1 or 2 reps, okay? Yeah, thanks, Gio. Band assist, that's right, yep. So for those, I found this really helpful for those who've had achy pain in and around the shoulders, their anterior delts overfiring, putting a band just past the elbow, assists everything like that. The other point I want to make, and this will be the hardest angle I could show you, with your shoulder blades, most people want to overly squeeze their shoulder blades. If you can imagine that, where the shoulder blades almost kiss each other right away, okay? So if I were to do a push-up and you're looking at this angle, you'd see this. You'd see the shoulder blades kiss right away. Just to kind of cue you into this, modified for weak women. Yes, we just did push-ups on our knees, and if we have a band just past the elbows, that'll probably be your best bet for a weak woman just getting into it. The cue that I want you guys to think about is to not let your shoulder blades squeeze right away. They kind of bang together, and that can cause problems. So you actually want to encourage yourself to utilize these motions, these muscles, and try to keep your shoulder blades away from each other. So that's a tough one for me to demonstrate right now, but let me give you the best idea possible about what I mean with that. So you guys might have heard of like a cat-cow for the low back, right? So if you do this, okay? I want you to imagine doing something like that, but for the shoulder blades. So what I mean by that, just so you can feel this, is instead of sinking your chest all the way down, I want you to imagine driving your upper chest away from the ground as much as possible. So hopefully you can see my upper thoracic spine or my upper back pushing away from the ground. You can see how that rounds my upper spine a little bit. So not that I want that, okay, I think that's excessive, but just a little bit of that protraction is what I call it, versus here, okay? So if I push up like that, we call that protraction. And I'd actually encourage you to try to maintain that as long as possible rather than just squeezing your shoulder blades. So one example might be, instead of doing this, where I'm letting my shoulder blades kiss, I'm going to actually push up a little bit from that upper part of my spine, and then I'm going to actually try to keep that. Okay? So in addition to that, for those of you that feel like you're ready to progress your push-ups, and if you have a heavy-duty elastic band, there's a really great way to incorporate the muscle that I was just trying to cue there, which we call the serratus anterior. It actually helps stabilize your spine and actually gets you a better, stronger push-up. So what I'm about to show you here, there's actually 2 levels of progression. 1, you could absolutely do this on your knees again, or 2, if you're really strong, you're able to progress into a full push-up with good form, then you could use a heavy-duty band, like so. So I'm gonna actually wrap it around, and heck, let's go here. So I'm gonna show you another way to kind of cue your shoulder blades to fire if you're doing the push-up. So if I'm sitting here, my arms are straight. Watch how I reach away from my body. Do you see that? That move right there is what I want more people to think about when you're doing the push-up rather than this. Do you see that difference? So this is where most people end up, where the shoulder blades are kind of squeezed together. But with this band, it can give you some good feedback. So I'm going to reach, all right? And this motion right here alone can be really good to practice. All right, making sure we got a little love going on in the chat, which is awesome. All right, so we're reaching. All right, so this can actually be a good way to start to think about getting the shoulder blade to fire when you're doing push-ups. But nonetheless, let's show you kind of the final product. All right, so with the band, you can wrap it around here. I'm gonna be on my knees. Now, with the band, I'm gonna actually use a fist grip rather than this. It's just more comfortable for me. If you can handle it with your wrist like that, that's totally fine. So we're gonna get here. I'm on my, I know it's a little dark, but I'm on my fist. I'm gonna start out by on my knees, coming down, and then pushing up. Coming down, and pushing up. Coming down, and pushing up. All right, so that'd be on your knees, and then the progression on our toes. I'm gonna keep the fist grip position. Okay? Now what's cool about these, for a lot of people have asked me, Chad, how do I mimic a really strong workout at home, even if I just have elastic bands? Well, the good news is that you got some big boys like this. You could double it up. All right, PG-13 here for craps and giggles. We're gonna give this a shot. I'm just gonna show you how you can like really ramp up a ridiculous push-up just with elastic bands. So this is wicked heavy. I'm not sure, but let's just see what happens. All right. Yeah, so that's a ton of resistance, and I could, you know, it's infinite. I could add as many as I want. Now it does require, yep. So it does require heavy duty bands. I'm gonna make a suggestion. And we give elastic loop bands at least to our clients because we know how useful they are. We're on our way to purchasing some heavy duty ones, but get some heavy duty bands. It can make a huge difference in just your capabilities, especially at times like these. Now granted, I've got some interchangeable dumbbells and a couple of 80s and 90s, but not everyone has. Sorry about that. But I would suggest getting heavy duty bands could really make a big difference there. So a couple of Just other ideas with your push-ups. If you're having wrist pain, now I'm gonna use just these dumbbells, you don't have to have heavy ones. A lot of people have wrist pain when they're doing push-ups because they don't like that amount of extension. In my experience, it's not because they're weak, or excuse me, not because their muscles are tight, but it's because they're unstable. They don't necessarily like the compression with the wrist into max extension. So I'm gonna suggest that you grab some dumbbells. Hopefully you guys can see. Okay, you guys can see that. So I'm just gonna grip onto that baby. And let me make this point too. So when I set this up, I want you guys to be able to see that. When I set this up, I don't want the dumbbell pointed straight up. I actually want it pointed in towards my chin. Not away, not straight up, but actually in towards the chin a little bit. So let's see if you guys can see that all right. It might be a little blurry, but you might get the idea. So you see how the dumbbells are kind of pointed in this way? So that's actually gonna put me in the most optimal position for my push-ups. In the fancy medical world, we call that the scaption plane. It's actually one of the most safest, healthiest positions you can kind of put your shoulder in when you're gonna go do some push-ups. So if you're doing dumbbells and you need that help support for your wrists, don't put it straight up. Just bring it in a little bit, and that'll keep you in the best, most optimal position. Now, not too many people get to this point, but I want to introduce the idea that actually anyone could do a derivation of a single arm push-up. So single arm push-ups have a lot of benefit for the core, a lot of benefit for the shoulder blades. So I would like to kind of show you how I think you could get started with doing a form of single arm push-up. We actually tend to get our clients who have had shoulder pain or elbow pain or wrist pain to do some form of a shoulder push-up, because again, it helps the whole upper quarter. So what I'm going to suggest that you play it around with. See how my knees are kind of wide? I want you to get wide for your knees. That's going to give you a larger base of support. It's going to make it a little bit more reasonable that you could at least attempt this, okay? So from there, let's just say I'm working my left arm. Again, I'm going to rotate out a little bit, rotate my elbow, and plant, okay? If you're unsure, like you're gonna fall on your face, use this other hand and just be there so you can kind of catch yourself, okay? If you feel good about it, I like to kind of wrap the other arm behind the back. Most people's arm are gonna want to rotate in. So again, rotating out, stabilize. You have to really engage your core with this, and then come all the way down, all the way up. Really great for elbows, really great for shoulder stability. And let me just preface, it's not really like a pec dominant exercise like you might think. The single arm variation has a lot of anti-rotation in it. It's a lot more core, a lot more stability requirements for that, okay? Now, a single arm push-up on your toes is wicked hard. Very few people, if ever, get to that, and it's really not something that most people achieve. So what I would say, to just get comfortable loading your arm one at a time in that position, if you're ready for it, is just to do what I call a single arm hold. Okay, so get this out of the way. You could use dumbbells again if you're uncomfortable with your wrists, of course. But what I'm going to suggest is that you we'll just use my right arm. We're going to get you in a push-up position. And just first off, see if you can hold that position, okay? Just see if you can hold it. I like to encourage people just to get comfortable loading it. Try to hold that for 60 seconds. You'll be shocked, just to get you on one arm, what kind of a workout that is. From there, you can take baby steps and just do unlocking of the elbows. That's gonna be still a ton of work to the elbow. You don't have to go through full range of motion every time if you know why, and if you know that you're improving your strength in order to get somewhere greater. So the unlocking would look just something like this. You can just unlock, reach, unlock, reach, unlock, reach. As you feel more comfortable, and get a little bit lower. Reach. Actually, that takes a ton of core work as well. And so I think I want people to think about push-ups as more than just a pec chest exercise. It actually can be great for the rotator cuff if done correctly. Most times people hurt the rotator cuff because they're rotated in, their elbows are up, their shoulders are rounded, they're using too much upper trap, anterior delt, and they're not positioning themselves for success. So for those of you gotta just hopping on, when you find your perfect push-up, I think a lot of it makes sense about the position that you have when you get started. I could probably best show you here. So when you get set up, don't allow your hands to rotate in. I like to go a little bit wider than shoulder width. Rotate the hands, rotate the elbow, and then the big one is to drive your shoulders down. I'm unable to probably set this up, but you could imagine if this band was up here and it was pulling above my head, that would actually encourage me to drive my shoulders down, okay? So that's something else that you can think about in terms of setting up for the proper push-up. So I think we covered it all. If anyone has any questions about the perfect push-up, let's see if I had any other notes. Yeah, if anyone had any questions of perfect push-up, if anyone had any questions on rehab, I will stick around for a couple minutes if anyone has anything that they're wondering. I'll answer some questions, and hopefully everyone is safe and doing well. Let's see if I missed anything. So, yeah, again, if you go back and watch, if you're weak and if you're just getting started with your push-ups, start on your knees, start with a band just around, it'd be this band. Start with a band just past the elbows. And if that is still too much for you, do it on a wall. Okay, you could literally do just some push-ups on the wall. You could do double arm push-ups on the wall. You could do single arm push-ups on the wall. There's almost always a regressing position that you could go into for push-ups or suggestions for future help needed. Yeah, so reach out to me, just comment below if you had any questions. I can always get back to you. I'm just gonna scroll through here and just see if I missed anything else for push-ups. You guys have any questions about rehab? It could be pain in general, aches. We're kind of all stuck inside. I'm seeing a lot of good home workouts going through there, but maybe not necessarily as much as rehabilitative as needed. Okay, so if you're just logging on, you can go back and watch. And I want you to kind of think about a good proper push-up can actually be rehabilitative. Most people think it's kind of a maybe bro workout or something like that. They're just working their chest. But everyone has to be able to push something heavy. Thanks, Dan. I appreciate it. Yeah, I want people to know that there are a lot of variations. There's almost always some sort of a modification, lateral regression, something that we could do different, some sort of cue, some sort of modification. As you had seen here, I use dumbbells for props for my wrist, for wrist problems. Nice. Yes, you're absolutely right, Hunter Gray. I did not specifically use the terminology guy push-ups and girl push-ups. I hate that. There are I work with a lot of really strong women that are really impressive, and they'll blow some of my guys apart, especially my 50-year-old guys sitting at the computer all day. They've got horrible posture, and they might want to relive some of those older moments that they had in high school, get in there and start working out, and they're not ready, and they may not know that they're not ready, and then they hurt themselves, and then they end up seeing me. So hopefully some of these tips it's just a horrible business model, but hopefully some of these tips can help keep people away from me, because they realize it's not just a one and done idea where it's just the classic on the toes push up. And I'm going to go on a rant here, but why not? I got nothing else to do. The intent of like these push-ups per day, where people are doing 100 push-ups per day, I see it in the gym too. They've got great intent, right? They want to do 100 push-ups. They're motivated. They're being dedicated towards working out, but their form completely goes to shit, and it's unfortunate. And so what happens is that all of a sudden they're dealing with shoulder pain, they're dealing with neck pain, and then they go, man, working out's not for me. And you can see how that leads to kind of a sequelae where all of a sudden someone doesn't, work out anymore and they blame it on this and that and whatever. So making sure that you've got the right form can be pivotal. So was there any other questions before I head out? Well, guys, if you catch this on the replay, and if you can think of anything that you need, just let me know by commenting below. And would love to do more of these and help provide some education while everyone's kind of stuck at home. We do offer telehealth too, so if that's something that you wanted to just connect with, happy to get on a computer and just do a one-on-one call with you and just try to do the best we can in these tough times. So thank you guys so much. Take care and have a great rest of your day.